Hello everyone, I'm here to do the reading for the full moon in Sagittarius on the 17th of June. Now, this full moon, according to the astrology reports, might be a little bit charged, quite intense. There's a lot going on, many conversations between different planets. We're gonna have Jupiter squaring Neptune, and that's going to bring up a lot of conversation having to do with the way we expand and what we're idealizing and things like this. For some of us, it's going to be more uncomfortable, and for others, for some of us, also depends how we're going to navigate it, how we're navigating this. It's going to be more exciting. Talking about idealizing things, there we go, the Seven of Cups. It depends a lot, of course, how are we using this energy, right? I mean, like these, every time when there is like serious squares and things like this, it happens because these are conversations that we need to have within ourselves. And whenever we have retrogrades, like now we have Jupiter retrograde in Sagittarius, we have Pluto and Saturn retrograde in Capricorn. These are opportunities for us, Four of Swords, to check in with ourselves, to check in with what are these aspects lighting up, and Seven of, talk about checking in with ourselves, Seven of Pentacles, yeah? This has to do with taking stock and checking in. And the Lovers. Beautiful. Bottom of the deck, we have the Queen of Pentacles, grounding. Makes a lot of sense. And now I'm gonna pull out some clarifiers. Alright, what do we have here? The Ace of Swords with the Seven of Cups. Beautiful. Hopefully we're getting some clarity here. Alright. Okay, so we have the Eight of Pentacles with the Four of Swords. We're getting there. So this is a general reading that I didn't mention in the beginning. It's for the collective. Alright, look at that. Seven of Pentacles with the Five of Pentacles. And one more card, please. There we go. It's a good match. The King of Cups with the Lovers. And bottom of the deck we have Damn. This card shows up a lot lately. The Six of Cups. So yeah, this is a general reading, is for the collective. So it will resonate for those that is meant to resonate with a group of people that are that go through similar stuff. On the other hand, like whenever we have these astrological events, like whether new moon, full moon, we all get affected by the energy in different ways, right? I'm reading the energy of the cards, not that much about the story, okay? So I think that the collective in general can find guidance and wisdom or messages in just the way we find in astrological reports that are talking about these placements and these conversations between the planets and these events. It's the same way this works, right? So let's see, what is the underlying energy? We have the Queen of Pentacles and the Six of Cups. And the Queen of Pentacles is all about being fully grounded, being fully present, being aware of everything in practical ways, about the physical reality. See, she's holding here this pentacle with so much gentleness. She's like the most nurturing of the queens. And she's very much about understanding the real values, what is important, what's the what are the things that are important in life, and what are the things that are important on an inner landscape as well. She's a queen, so she's on top of her suit, and all queens are ruled by the drive of the heart. So it has to do a lot with emotions, even though it's in the physical plane, because it's pentacles, right? But it is more about how we show up emotionally in the physical plane. And I think it has to do a lot with how are we showing up for ourselves as well. How are we valuing ourselves? Um, how much we're nurturing ourselves. And I think this is put into question right now, with all these conversations that we have for this Sagittarius full moon. And it comes with the Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups has to do with kindness. It has to do also with the past, and has to do with like understanding, like there are lessons from the past. But I think in this particular reading, I would go more for the meaning around kindness, because it's all about grounding, it's all about like finding out that nurturing side of ourselves, and nurturing ourselves, and be kind to ourselves. The more we are able to nurture ourselves, the more we are able to be kind with ourselves, the more we are able to show up for others as well in a healthy way, not from a position of neediness, not from a position of I'm doing this for you because I want this back from you. It's more in the position of, oh, I can actually show up, I can actually be kind to someone without expecting something in return. You see, these guys have these red capes here. It shows that they have awareness. They are both, they understand the gesture of kindness and the richness in that. He is, or she, I don't know, is offering, and she is receiving with grace. And in many ways this can be different aspects of ourselves, like nurturing that inner child is also, again, has to do with lessons from the past, right? So see, she's also holding his pentacle here as if he's a baby. um it has to do a lot with connecting and with ourselves from a kinder position, and to nurture the inner child that's been through a lot, I mean, and we don't just have one, by the way, there's so many inner children. But we need to learn to connect with ourselves in different ways, in ways that we're not used to, in much kinder ways, not from a position of judgment, not from a position of criticism, but from a position of pure kindness. Can we make this exercise of being truly kind with the aspects of ourselves that we are not so proud of, or not so happy with, or that we don't understand? Sometimes we just do things that we don't understand. We're like, why on earth have I just done this? I had a real clear pact with myself this morning that I'm gonna do this and this, and here I am doing the complete opposite, and I'm completely baffled in my own behavior here. We're taken by surprise. Well, most of the time, if this happens, I don't know if this ever happens to you. It happens a lot to me at times. Um, when this happens, we tend to be angry with ourselves. Oh, come on, why am I doing this? Seriously. And the inner conversation can turn really into conflict. So that's the moments that we need to catch. These are the parts. It's easy to be kind with myself if I'm doing everything perfectly, if I'm behaving. It's the same treatment that we get from society, maybe from parents. Okay, if you're doing great, yeah, I love you, fantastic, you're perfect, praise. But if you're not doing well, you're punished, and all that shit, when I'm being yelled at and things like this. So it is important to find those moments of challenge, those moments where we are challenged by our inner child, to be kind to the inner child. I hope that makes sense to you. Um, yeah, so we talked a lot about that, and that's just the underlying energy. Let's see what we have on the table. So I just mentioned earlier that mm in this conversation for this full moon, it's going to be brought up what is it that we want to expand, how we want to expand, in what direction. This is all Jupiter about expansion, growth, and Sagittarius and Jupiter are not particularly patient signs or energies. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and it's a fire sign. And yeah, it's an easygoing one, but at the same time, it can be notorious for not being able to rest, for being always continuously pushed by this idea of expansion, and especially with Jupiter home. And Jupiter retrograde in Sagittarius is going to illuminate exactly this. What is it that we want to expand towards? Which are areas of our lives need more expansion, and which areas of our lives maybe need less because we've been focusing on them too much. And being in square with Neptune, it's a with Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is home as well, right? um Neptune is all about, like, the dreamy world, the mystical, the um this is very Neptunian card, by the way, because it's all about this dreamy energy. This also can signify different states of consciousness. So if you have, say, out of body experiences, or all kinds of experiences that are not necessarily your typical. It can also be drug induced. So it can also, Neptune in Pisces is notorious also for addiction. So it's very hard to find the that fine line between what is um, say spirituality, and what is bypassing, what is enjoying, or doing something in a grounded way, and completely losing oneself in there. um, Neptune in Pisces has to do a lot with checking out with boundaries. Neptune in Pisces is notorious for not knowing boundaries, not knowing when to stop, not knowing where to go, not knowing what they need really in terms of boundaries. They don't know their own boundaries, and they definitely don't know other people's boundaries. I mean, when I say they, I mean people that find themselves in this energy a lot. So it's important to have exactly this conversation. Okay, what is it that I'm dreaming? What do I want to accomplish? Where do I want to expand? Um, Also, what is it I'm idealizing? Have I been idealizing certain things a little bit too much? And it comes with the Ace of Swords, so that's fantastic because we're gonna get some insight on this. Um, this is truth. This is truth coming in as it is, and it's up straight. It's a download. It's pure insight. It's not necessarily comfort though. That's why I'm saying that some of us might get a little bit edgy on this full moon, but it is a really important truth because this, like, figuring this out, figuring where have we been a little bit too dreamy, a little bit too I don't know, idealizing things that aren't even our dreams anymore. They're somewhere from the past, maybe, that don't serve us anymore. Um, and figuring out where I actually need to expand more. What is it that makes sense? Having what's it called? Sorry. Having Saturn in Capricorn retrograde right now as well, part of this conversation is going to help us figuring out what is it that truly serves us. We're going to take these dreams one by one and we're going to be like, okay, does this still serve me or does it not? I'm just going to think of a stupid example, probably. Say when I was a child, I was dreaming that I wanted to be, I don't know, I wanted to live on an island in the middle of Pacific with, like that typical postcard um, island where even like simplified it can be like, I don't know, when you have this one palm tree and you have a patch of land and then you have the sea and then you have a person zipping some cocktail in there, that sort of mentality. And it's great, yeah, I mean, why not live on an island? uh, but sometimes those dreams can be, well, that means then nothing else works. I've actually did live in an island eventually, and it's been great in so many ways, but I feel also that if I get stuck into the dream, it's not really serving me, right? I mean, like, I still need to be into the world to do other things. I may want to go back to that island at some point when I feel like, okay, I need the rest, or when I feel like, okay, I'm retiring, or whatever. But right now, I have other dreams to feed, and I have other areas of my life that need expansion. So I cannot get stuck into the dream that I want to just live on an island and that's it. That's just very, very limiting. That's just an example. Okay, maybe it's not the best. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not great with giving the examples, but I hope it makes sense to you though. Anyhow, having this part of a conversation being lit up, it's gonna bring us to this point where we need to stay with this information. We need to take a break and take it in, like really, really take it in, because as I mentioned, it's gonna be some heavy information for some of us because these are things that we are carrying since childhood. These are dreams that we've been carrying with us for a very long time. And it can be a little bit dry when we get the information that, okay, well, you know what, all that thing that you dreamed for so long and you kind of were caught into that dream, well, that's not for you. Or maybe that's not yours even. It's something that you picked up from someone else at some point. And we gotta really check in with ourselves and see what really works and what isn't. Let's see what of the information that I got in this full moon and in this insight, how can I apply it into the daily life? What does that really mean to me? See, and it comes with the Eight of Pentacles. How am I going to apply this into my daily life, into my daily craft, into the way I'm spending my time, where I'm putting my energy in? But this is great because having this information, it gives us a lot of guidance. And we're gonna be able to redirect our energy in the things that matter for us most, to have the highest level of value from our energy, to be focused and to grow into the direction that we really need to grow. The Eight of Pentacles is a card of like really perfecting one's craft, perfecting one's work, doing things diligently and with a lot of It can be repetitive work, it can be boring, it can be routine, but it is a routine that is very, very um, important and productive for us. It can be just figuring out a daily routine that works, that is, like how do I want to live my life? How do I see my days coming? Do I want to, okay, I want to have freedom. Okay, I want to be able to work from home or from a cafe, or I want to be able to work this amount of hours in the office, or I don't know, work remotely. Doesn't matter. How do I see it? And then how do I make it happen? The Eight of Pentacles helps you make it happen. It's an eight, it's all about structure. And this is a four, this is also structure, but this is like a structure after both on the higher plane and the lower plane, both on the mental level and the physical level. It's stability and structure, and it is something that you create through your own craft. And this happens after we've been taking stock, right? This whole thing, like when we're going in and when we're realizing where we want to put our energy, also helps us realize where we don't want to put our energy. And we can catch ourselves in those moments where we're looking at what we have, and instead of seeing all these things that we're having here, and all the work that we invested, this is like where we already planted the crops, and now we see the results, and we're like, okay, is this worth it? How much am I gonna use right now, and how much am I gonna replant for the next crop? And that sort of energy is like really taking stock and assessing pretty much where we at and what's happening. But if we're like seeing only what we don't have, then it's a little bit problematic, like focusing one's energy only on lack, on and what is missing. Yeah, in a way, for some it's a drive, because you're like, okay, this is what I'm missing, this is what I'm gonna go for, and blah blah blah, here I am, I'm gonna go for, I'm gonna use all my to achieve what is it that I'm looking for. But the Five of Pentacles is not that kind of energy. The Five of Pentacles is that energy where I feel like completely like I don't have anything. I feel like I'm out into the cold. I feel like there's something inherently wrong with me, that I'm crippled somehow, and that I don't know, the institutions and the people in my life and everything else failed me, and I feel isolated. I feel on the outside. But this is a church here, right? This is a church. These two guys, they look homeless and crippled. Um, Pass by this church, and they could actually take refuge here if they knew that, if they get out a little bit of themselves, they don't see what is available to them. This is the Five of Pentacles energy, when we don't see what's available to us. And that's why we need to do this assessment. We need to see where we've been thinking like this, where we've been focusing only on what we don't have, and we got lost in that. Not being able to see what we actually have, not being able to see what we can dream of with the resources that we have, what is realistic, what and how, what are the steps to bring in what is it that we want. I really hope this makes sense to at least some of you out there, because I think it's a very important message. The more we focus on what we lack, the more lack we're going to experience. It is a way that brain works, that the more we focus on the problem, the more we just observe the problems. Say, today maybe I've experienced 10 people praising me for, I don't know what achievements I might have done in the past month, and one person saying that, not praising me, doing the opposite, was the opposite of praising, criticizing, right? What I will remember will be the criticizing, not the praising. And that will be get stuck with me the whole damn day. And I'm gonna think it and rethink it and rethink it. And I'm going to battle it in my mind. And then I'm gonna make it my own. And I'm gonna be feel like a failure and that sort of stuff. And completely dismiss the praises for the, you know. Um, this is pretty much the Five of Pentacles energy, and that makes sense because um, the brain is a problem solving machine. That's what it's designed to do, to find problems and to solve them. But when we're giving the mind a little bit too much power and we trust too much what it's doing, it's almost like taking a computer as if whatever it does or says when it's doing its calculation, it's 100% true. Have you ever seen computer errors? Well, our brain can start giving the same damn errors if we are overusing it, if it's overheated, if it's mm, been in our minds too much. Then we don't see the big picture anymore, or we can focus on one little calculation and dismiss the rest. And it has to do a lot with what is it that we value, what is it that we want to how we want to spend our time, how we want to live our lives, what is it that our dreams are, and things like that. Are you even allowing yourself to dream anymore into something that's more realistic? Or you're just dreaming of unicorns because it's so far that you're not going to reach it anyway, so let's just dream of unicorns because that's the only safe dream. uh, yeah, let's leave it at that for now. Actually, I wanna pull out the clarifier for this Five of Pentacles with the Seven of Pentacles. But I think it's important that we're seeing this. This is what we get, this insight. And as I said, we start seeing our best parts and the parts that we do have a grounded approach on and that we can build up upon. But we can also see these parts where we're not really showing up for ourselves and we are literally abandoning ourselves here. And it's great that we see it, because that's when we're gonna be able to start making this connection again, to make this alignment. The Lovers, it's a lot about aligning mind and heart, and it's about decision making, but it's about big decisions, life decisions, right? Okay, so what do we have? So we have Temperance. How beautiful. We have Temperance for exactly this, and it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Instead of like thinking, oh my god, poor me, look at me, I'm all out in the cold, all left out, all abandoned. I learned how to study this part of me. I learned how to observe and to assess and to look at this with curiosity. The Temperance card is a card of transformation. Is the Alchemist. And it's like a scientist who's like taking whatever it has and it's turning it into the alchemists were turning every metal into gold, but that's the physical aspect of it. Mainly the work is spiritual, right? And we take all these emotions and all these thoughts and we can transform them into kindness and love and compassion. We have love, we have the kindness card here, we have the Queen of Pentacles, which is very all about nurturing, and we have the King of Cups. This is what we are transforming in. We are transforming these feelings of lack and abandonment and rejection into loving kindness, into emotional maturity, into the King of Cups is the we have bottom of the deck here, the High Priestess, which I'm going to pull out because I think it is relevant to this message. The King of Pentacles is all about being emotionally mature, and he is like the loving father figure. and here we have a loving mother figure. It is time to reparent that inner child that feels abandoned, that feels left out in the cold. And you know what? It really was. There was something that prompted this. There's no judgment there. This comes from somewhere. This does not come from out of the blue, you know. And when we're making this assessment, we can do it with kindness, not with just, judgment. And we can go inside, like the high priestess does, and learn from our higher self how to be kind to that part of me that's suddenly acting so childish, that feels so hurt, that wants to um, just wants to cry. It's all right to let that part of us cry. It's all right to meet that part of us with, again, inclusion and kindness. This part has been abandoned, first by our caretakers, parents, society being telling us, don't be like this, don't be like this. That forces us to abandon parts of ourselves, to not allow them to show any longer because they're not accepted in society. Oh, don't talk loud, it bothers me. Oh, don't, I don't know, stop running around into the house and stay still in that chair, telling a 5 years old that, that sort of things. And we start slowly abandoning these traits of our personality that are being picked on for by our parents and by our school teachers and colleagues and things like this, because they don't seem to serve us at the time, right? I get punished if I am speaking too loud or laughing too loud, or if I'm running around in the house when my mother's really tired from work and she maybe has a sensitivity for sound. And then that part of me, it is literally abandoned, and it's sad, and it's that inner child that just gets stuck in there. And we need to learn to nurse back to love. See the temperance card. This looks like the scientist, like a doctor, and it has this fire triangle on the heart chakra. And you have this path here, which goes all the way to the sun, which is the your life path. I feel like this reading is very significant to many of us because it has to do with big changes in the way we show up for ourselves and the way we show up for our dreams and for our heart's desire. And we can only learn this by going in, by making contact with our inner, welcoming back these aspects of ourselves that had been abandoned and that are now maybe rebelling and that now are acting in ways that are irrational, and simply nurse them back, parent them back to this feeling of inclusion and wholeness and love and compassion. When I bring this back, this part of me back, I will feel whole again, and this part of me will feel like coming back home, and there will be no more separation. We compartmentalize a lot. We can compartmentalizing, it's a defense mechanism that we some of us are using it more than others, compartmentalization and rationalization, and we compartmentalize things when two realities don't seem to coexist. They don't seem to make sense together. Therefore, we cannot see them together. Simple example. Okay, so my mom is a loving, nurturing figure. This is one image that I have of my mom. But also, my mom is the wife of my father and the lover of my father, and they have a very different relationship of which I'm not part of. Well, those to me, like just seeing the mom as a nurturing figure and seeing the mom as a sexual being, I just cannot put them together. So I compartmentalize them, I separate them. It's just one example. This could be like the way we see ourselves or the way we see our world. Okay, this is beautiful, this is not beautiful. I just cannot put them together because they contradict each other. When we are able to bring those two, to reconcile those two opposites, is when we really create a whole. When we are able to see the dualities and accept the dualities for duality. It's like taking a coin and we only see one side of the coin, and one side of the coin shows me something and the other side of the coin shows me the opposite or something completely different, that I just can't see them together. But if I'm just looking at it like this from here, then that's all I'm gonna see. The more I'm close to it, the more I'm immersed into the details and the story and the drama that one side of the coin tells me. But the more I'm getting a little bit of a distance and I'm starting observing it with curiosity, I'm turning it around, I realize that this is a coin, and the other side is a different story, but it's just as much part of the whole. And I just like drop it out and I put it in the bag, and that's it. It is a coin. It's something that I've learned. It's something that I have as value right now because I understand the two aspects of the same thing and that they're inseparable. And we do this by abandoning judgment and by making contact with this inner aspect, inner wisdom that comes from staying in silence with oneself, comes from connecting with our bodies and being grounded, and by evoking these um, inner parents that can be the parents that we never had. And not to say that we all had shitty parents in any way, no, but invariably there's always going to be aspects of ourselves that have been one way or another neglected. And it's normal because this is a part of being a society. Somehow it needs to limit us, it needs to tame us to function in the way everybody else functions. So invariably we're going to have to abandon parts of ourselves. So how are we going to welcome back? How are we going to reparent those parts is up to us. And we can do it with loving kindness. There was that saying that circulates on internet, well, in a world where you can be anything, just be kind. And this is why the lover's energy is here, is learning to align with the heart and learning to start making the decisions from the heart, learning how to use the mind and the insight as a tool and not as the absolute truth. And our logical mind can tell us many things, and many times those are unreal. They're just stories. So we can connect to our hearts, we can connect to our emotions from a mature way and understand our emotions and understand why sometimes I'm completely irrational, to understand why sometimes I feel left out in the cold, even if I'm surrounded by amazing, loving people. Because I need to welcome back that part of me first, in order to feel whole, in order to feel less lonely. Then I'm able to connect with the others better. Because I'm integrating. And the more I'm integrating these parts of me that are being estranged, the more I understand these parts of me, and I can understand. Usually when we have this is also like it gets hidden into the shadow, right? So whenever we have parts of ourselves that we haven't accepted, we see it, we project them on other people, and this is when the other people annoys the shit out of us. So the more I understand and welcome back this part of myself that's been left out in the cold, that's been abandoned, that's been rejected, the more I'm able to understand the people that I couldn't understand before and feel less triggered by them because it's integrated and I don't need to project it anymore. And I can have love, compassion, and kindness for those people. And then that energy of conflict or that energy of whatever it was when you're completely annoyed by someone, it dissipates and it transforms. That's why we have the temperance here. It transforms into loving kindness. Well, lovelies, I hope this makes sense to you. It's good work. It's an amazing work that needs to be done. And yeah, allowing ourselves to feel that. By the way, we have amazing cards here, except for this Five of Pentacles. All these cards here are very, very supportive. But I can understand how this Five of Pentacles is a very, very complicated energy and very hard to feel and to connect with. But having so much support by the rest of the energies, I think that we are very safe to do this right now. We are very safe to connect with ourselves and find the lost parts of ourselves, to find the rejected parts of ourselves, to find the rebellious parts of ourselves, and starting slowly to first hear them out, and then to have compassion, and then to slowly welcome them back into the whole. Have a great full moon, and I hope that I hope that we can all do this gracefully. Otherwise, we may feel a lot of compulsion to get lost in a dreamy world, to make use of substances and whatever it is, what your poison is, whether it's like food or we would want to numb ourselves, because this is not comfortable. But this is at the core of the reading, and I think that it's so supported. It can be amazing. It can be amazing to welcome this part back. All right. Have an amazing full moon. And I'll see you back for the monthly readings soon enough. Um, Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, and all that. As you see, my channel is really, really new, so it helps me a lot when you guys are liking, sharing, subscribing, and so on, because this is the only way that this channel can grow and my messages can reach more people that are maybe in need to hear them. So thank you so much. Bye bye.